Hi, this is Jay Piersdorf. I've been trying to come up with a solution. So I'm going to present this to you with what I've been finding and see if maybe you have some other ideas. But let's take a look at this. So the idea is that most modern cameras, modern still cameras, have actually two functions. They can shoot still images, but they can also shoot motion pictures. They can shoot movies. And almost every camera on the market, even camera phones, can do this exact thing. So you not only have a camera that shoots stills, you have a camera that shoots movies. And maybe as a profession, as a photographer, you might find that you need to do some of both. That you can get more money for certain jobs if you also shoot a video, or you're also available for stills. You can do either one. So this brings us to kind of a unique equipment problem. So when you're shooting videos, the best tripod to have is one that has what they call a fluid head or a fluid motion head. But this is one that is made by Manfrotto, and this one is the MVH502AH, and it's quite a large video head, and it's got the handle on it here. And the idea is you set this on top of the legs of the tripod, and then you have motion control. You can tilt very fluidly. You can tilt the camera up or down, and you can also rotate it side to side. And that is because of these controls that are spring-loaded. So there's two mechanisms on the tilt here. This one, and then there's a lock on the other side. And this allows you to tilt the camera forward and back, and you adjust it so that the camera is never in jeopardy of falling forward like it is with a ball head. Ball heads are not my favorite, so this is something that I really do like, especially for motion. And also it has on this particular model, you have a fluid drag system which is right here, and this piece controls the pan, or the side to side. So the tighter you make this, the more resistance it gives you to moving the camera smoothly in a panorama mode. You can loosen it and make it slide very easily panorama. So this is what they call a fluid head. Not that there's any fluid in it, but the mechanism gives it a very fluid motion, which is handy for taking videos. Now, enter in my problem. So I like to do both, and occasionally I don't want to I have certain jobs that I need to do where I need to take a vertical picture. Now, of course, you know that that high definition video is in the 16:9 format for the most part, and still images are 2:3 ratio. So this gives you a much longer image than it does tall, unless you turn the camera on its side like this. And at this point, then you have a 2:3 image, so 2 units across, 3 units down, and that fits portraits better. It fits a lot of things better. So it's nice when we can take the camera and we can turn it easily, such as when you're hand holding. You can take the camera, you can look through, you can take pictures this way, you can take pictures this way, you can move around by adjusting the camera. Now when you have it on a tripod, if you have a tripod that's designed for a still camera, then there's a mechanism to usually, and it varies depending on the tripod, but it varies, so you can turn the camera this way or you can turn it this way, because they know that photographers, we need to do that. We need to turn the camera on its side. But when you make this a video camera and you buy a fluid head like this, all of a sudden there is no way to turn the camera on its side. So it has a mechanism like this, which would then slide. You have to watch which direction you go, but it would slide down in here, and there's a lock, a twist lock on the side, and then that keeps the camera secured on the tripod this way. But as we all know, most cameras have one tripod socket, and it's on the bottom. So you're going to need some other mechanism to make that turn. All right, well, so I got thinking about this. I bought this head, which I really like. This is an excellent video head. Super like it. Can't recommend it enough. But now I'm going to shoot videos for a while, and now I need to turn the camera and take stills, and I need to turn it this way. All right, so the first thing that I thought of doing was, okay, so if we have this on a tripod, we can tilt this down where it goes this way, so that you can lock it down in that position. And I thought, well, then that, of course, normally the camera would be pointing straight down, but if you rotated it to the side, then you again have the capabilities of verticals. Now that would be easy enough to do just by hooking up the foot here on the the mount, you could put it on, instead of putting it on this direction, you could put it on this direction, and then tilt the tripod down and do that. But then it doesn't really give you any control if you need to tilt up or tilt down without just twisting it on the screw head. So that's not a great solution. All right, so the next thing I thought of was this device from this company called Haoge. Is that Haoge? Haoge? Don't know. Anyway, it's this, looks like this thing right here. Let me zoom in on this for you. You take the Manfrotto head and you can put the adapter in like this. I've got my finger in there because I have this tilted, just to show you. Okay, I'm going to tighten that down. And now you have this mechanism here, which can then, you can put the Arca Swiss plate in and tighten sideways. Now, so if you have an Arca Swiss plate that you can put on the bottom of your camera, then you can set it right into that, and that is that doesn't do anything. You have the same exact problem. I've done nothing. Okay, so maybe you'd have to put the Arca Swiss plate in this way, but then you're tilting the camera like this, and you still don't have control over that axis. So this, I don't know what I was thinking. That doesn't work. So what I was thinking was, okay, so I need something that allows me to actually rotate the camera on that. And so then I found this other adapter. So this is from Benro, and this actually is an Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. So now we have both of these adapters on here, and with the camera mounted on here, you could rotate the camera but again, that really doesn't solve the problem. Now I've got it rotating in an interesting direction, but it's not doing exactly what I needed. So I could tilt the tripod, I could tilt it forward, and then I could rotate with the axis here. Okay, so could do that. So now I've got two adapters on there. Things are getting worse. Okay, so I'm not solving a problem, I'm making it worse. I know nobody else does that, right? Okay, so the next thing I decided was, you know what? If I have a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, which rotates, right? It has a rotating collar on the lens, and easily I can rotate it so that I can put it on a tripod, and I can just loosen the collar, and then I can rotate it from one direction to the other. And think, well, that's the ticket. That'd be that simple, and sure enough, that works. You just put the Manfrotto tripod foot on the rotating collar foot, and then you can loosen it and rotate it. Problem. Okay, so the lens I want to use, which is a 24 to 105, doesn't have a rotating collar available for it. That would be perfect, though. That would be the solution right there. So, looking around on Amazon, does such a thing exist? I'm glad you asked that. Yes, it does. So this is from a company called iShoot. This is a lens tripod mount ring. They make these for different lenses. So this comes with a wrench for the underside screws, and a nice little plastic bag, genuine cardboard box. So this is it, and it looks like a pretty standard lens collar, but it's designed to fit the 24 to 105. This particular model is designed to fit the 24-105 that I want to use. And so I'm going to take my lens off my camera. It's aligned, and I can tighten this screw down. And there you go. So now I have my 24 to 105 with a tripod collar on it, and this is made for an Arca Swiss mount. So I'm still going to need an adapter to get it onto the Manfrotto because it's not the right size. But wait. What about that rotating thing that I said? This doesn't rotate. And they're very clear about this when you look on Amazon and read the description. This one does not rotate on the lens. Okay, so these are cool, but I needed it to rotate. I'm gonna keep this and use it for other stuff, but I can't rotate it. So that's not that handy for my purposes anyway. All right. Next up, the next thing I'm going to try is a camera cage. How many people know what a camera cage is? Raise your hands. Oh, most of you. Okay, good. And this model is made specifically for the Sony a7R III. So you'll want to get one that fits your camera model. This one is a little bit different looking, but mostly what you're looking at is you're looking at a design that fits around the camera. So for example, if I take my camera and slot into this, some of these have other attachment points as well. This one does, but I'm not going to use it at the moment, just to show you here. So the main thing that you want in a camera cage is you have easy access to your camera battery. So I can get into the camera battery, and also the memory cards I can access even though the cage is on the camera. Now you do have all these different accessory holes. These are 3/8 and 1/4 inch holes, and some of these have these little registration screws. So this particular one came with a handle like this, so you can take this handle, and those you can put it in a couple of different places on the camera body, but I can line up those set points. So I could do low angle shots with this. In this position, you could carry it like that. You could flip out the screen so you can see what you're seeing. Okay, that's the idea behind it. And the other idea behind it is that all of these accessories on top, you can attach monitors, you can attach lights, you can attach boom arms, microphones, all kinds of stuff can be attached to these 1/4 inch points on here on the top. And so that is what they call a video cage for your camera. Now for my purpose, I have something in mind. So I'm going to take the Manfrotto tripod mount, and I'm going to put it into the 3/8 inch here on the back. I've got to make sure that I've got this as lenses forward on this. Okay, so now if I want to put it on the tripod, I'm all set. I have the cage here and this. Now I have one more thing I want to do, because remember, we want to take this to a vertical sometimes. So I have another tripod mount. This one's made by Newer, but it is compatible. It fits. It's the same. You could get another Manfrotto if you wanted. So I'm going to put it on the side right here. So now I'll be able to swap these back and forth by taking the clamp off the tripod, turning the camera on its side, and putting that clamp back on. These aren't exactly lined up, but you can play with that. Okay, so now I've got two clamps on it. I've got the one on the side, and I have the one directly on the bottom, and these are both attached to the cage. So the cage gave me a mounting point on the left side of the camera that I normally wouldn't have had. All right, so now I can very simply take this and slide this onto the tripod this direction, and I can turn it and I can slide it on that direction. And this actually works pretty well. Now the downside to this whole thing is that the cage sometimes blocks ports that you might need. For example, if you are using it as a video camera, or maybe you have a remote shutter control plugged into the HDMI port or the accessory port on the side, a lot of these accessory ports are now blocked by the cage or the tripod mount. Now I have one last thing to show you that does work, and maybe the most elegant solution. While I'm taking this camera cage off of the camera to show you the next thing I'm going to try, there is an accessory I found. If you do anything with camera cages, you need this. You need this for your camera cage stuff. So this is a plate. This is made by SmallRig. It makes most of the cages, and certainly a lot of the real high quality ones. I don't want to say it may make all the cages, because there are other companies that make them too. But this particular plate has the most common screw, accessory, mount, and the hex keys that you need to install or loosen or adjust camera cages. So these have all the pieces that you need. These are all threaded here. These parts go in there like this. Now the nice thing about this is that this is magnetic. So all these parts come off, the hex keys come off, and they snap back into place. So Keeps all your wrenches in one spot, including the screwdriver here, which is also the very small hex on that one. So I'm going to put the link down here in the show notes. And these are inexpensive. No-brainer. Pick one of these up. These are just, if you do anything with camera cages. Oh, and it comes with a nice little bag. Okay, it comes with this little soft SmallRig bag, and this you can go in, puts in there, and you can put it in your camera bag. That's a no-brainer. If you don't get anything else out of this video, get one of these SmallRig toolkits. Those are awesome. All right, so the last thing that I have to show you here is an item that is from, this is from a company called Edelkrone. And I'll put a link to this in the notes. There's a bunch of imitators on these, and the imitators are lousy. They just don't, they're not as big. The pictures make them look good, and they're not as good. So, and this is going to be like 120 bucks, something like that. It's well worth it. If you decide to get one of these, do not get the cheap one. You will be so sorry, and you will have wasted your money. All right, so how this works is this is all compression fit. So you pull this, you don't have any set screws to loosen. You just grab this and you can adjust this in the field. This thing that's clanking around here is the tripod socket in the bottom here. Kind of see how this thing looks. And the idea is that you attach it to your tripod sticks, or you can, in this case, we're going to attach it to the Manfrotto tripod adapter and put it on that. And then once you have it attached, you put the camera on this piece. And you don't need all these other intermediate parts that can pop up. They can make, you can do a lot of things with this, but for our purposes, what we're going to do with it, we're going to mount it on the tripod like this with the camera right here, and then we're going to flip up this side when we need to turn the camera on its side. And I'll show you that. It'll just flip up on its side, then when you're done, you just push down and fold the camera flat. Now this does have these little wrenches. You need a set of these hex wrenches that come with it, because if this gets loose, you need to tighten these spots right here with the hex wrenches. And if you have the SmallRig kit, those wrenches work just fine. You can put them right in there, and you can tighten these if they get too loose. You don't want them too loose because your camera will slowly fall one side to the other, or it won't hold its positioning. So that is the Edelkrone tripod mount. Okay, so that's it. Which one did I decide to use? Well, if I have to have accessories plugged into the camera, I will use the Edelkrone. If I don't have to have things plugged in where it blocks, I do try to use the cage and the two Manfrotto mounts. Then I can just pick it up and turn it sideways. And that's very sturdy. It's a little heavier that way, but either of those seems to do the trick for me. So I can use one tripod, I can use my fluid head, I can take stills, I can take videos, I can move them back and forth, either one. All right, if you have some other ideas or you have a better suggestion, I would love to hear it. So please put a comment down in our comment section there. And let me know if you like this, and if you have any other ideas or suggestions for making that work. So thanks very much for watching, everybody, and I hope that helps.